Far above the blue clouds of Earth, something strange moved in the dark silence of space. A broken ship drifted slowly, turning in circles like a dying bird. Its engines were dead, its lights were gone, and its signals were weak. No one should have been alive inside, but something small, almost like a heartbeat, was still there. On Earth's orbit base, a group of human engineers picked up an unknown signal. The radar officer frowned and said, "Commander, I'm getting a faint SOS from Sector 7, but it's not human frequency." The commander looked closer, eyes narrowing. "Not human? Then what is it?" The computer translated the sound, a repeating cry for help. In an alien pattern, a rescue team was sent immediately. Their ship Atlas V flew through the quiet space, guided by beacons and the weak call. When they reached the coordinates, they saw the wreck, a strange silver ship, shaped like a spiral shell. Its hull was cracked open, and small sparks floated away like dust in the sunlight. "Life signs detected," said the medic, eyes wide. "But only three?" "Three?" asked the commander. "Inside that wreck?" The rescue unit connected their suits and entered through a torn section of the alien craft. Inside, it was dark and cold, walls covered with glowing blue veins, pulsing slowly like blood. The air was thin, and a soft sound echoed, unlike the cry of a child. They followed the sound until they found her. An alien woman lay on the floor, her skin pale silver, her breathing weak. In her trembling arms were two tiny infants, wrapped in pieces of burned metal cloth. One of them moved slightly, the other didn't. The medic knelt beside her and scanned. "She's alive." "Barely, but the babies—" He looked at the commander, uncertain. The commander hesitated. Earth's first rule for deep space contact was clear: do not interfere with alien life forms. If they brought her in, they could risk infection, conflict, or even war. But then, the surviving baby cried again, a sound so soft, so human-like, that every person in that room froze. The commander felt a chill go through his spine. "That sound," he whispered, "it's just like a human child." The medic looked up, voice shaking. "Sir, if we leave them here, they'll die in minutes." The commander clenched his jaw. He thought about his daughter back on Earth, waiting for him to come home. He thought about that tiny cry echoing through the cold. Finally, he said, "Protocol be damned. We're bringing them in." The team wrapped the alien woman and her twins carefully. The mother's skin shimmered faintly under the rescue lights. She opened her eyes once, bright, glowing blue, and tried to speak. No one could understand her words, but everyone understood the look in her eyes. It was the look of a mother begging for her children to live. The rescue ship turned back toward Earth at full speed. The medics worked non-stop, trying to keep the oxygen steady. One baby's pulse was weak, fading, until the medic gently pressed a human oxygen mask near its face. The reading blinked and the pulse came back, slow but steady. They all cheered quietly, even though their hearts were heavy when they landed. The ship was immediately surrounded by military guards. The base commander stepped forward, shouting, "What have you done?" "You violated the first contact law." The rescue leader stood tall and replied, "We found a mother and two children dying in space, sir. We couldn't watch them die." Scientists and doctors rushed in to examine the beings. They couldn't identify her species. Her blood glowed faintly, and her heartbeat had two rhythms. The twins were small, fragile, and struggling to breathe. One of the doctors, a woman named Dr. Elena Voss, stepped closer. She looked at the alien mother and then at the infants. Her voice was soft. "They look so helpless." Hours passed as the alien mother was moved to a containment room. Dr. Elena refused to leave their side, watching as machines tried to keep the twins alive. She noticed something. Their lungs were collapsing. They couldn't breathe properly in Earth's air. Even with support, she whispered to herself, "If we can't fix that soon, they'll both die." Outside the medical lab, higher officials argued loudly. "Return them to space," shouted one. "We don't know what they are." "They might carry disease," said another. But Dr. Elena said nothing. She only looked through the glass at the mother and her babies. In that moment, she didn't see aliens. She saw life struggling to survive. The alien mother's eyes opened again, weak but aware. She looked at Dr. Elena through the glass and lifted one trembling hand. Her fingers touched the barrier softly. Elena hesitated, then pressed her hand against the same spot. For a brief second, human and alien eyes met, both filled with the same emotion: hope. The world outside might have seen enemies, But inside that small medical room, something greater was born. Not fear, not science, but compassion. The first spark of a bond that would soon challenge the entire galaxy. Because humanity had just broken the rule that no species dared to break, they had saved a life that wasn't theirs to save, and nothing in the universe would ever be the same again. The alien woman lay still under the bright white lights of the human medical lab. Machines surrounded her, humming softly, showing strange readings no human had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost like liquid metal, and her heartbeat echoed in two different rhythms. She shouldn't have been alive, not after what happened to her ship, not after days in deep space with no air, yet somehow she still breathed. Dr. Elena Voss watched her through the glass window of the quarantine chamber. Her team whispered behind her, nervous, unsure, afraid. Her blood doesn't match anything in our database, said one biologist. Her organs are unlike any known structure. It's like her lungs are half biological and half energy, said another. Elena listened quietly, her mind spinning. There was something about the woman, something fragile yet powerful, that pulled at her heart. In the next room, the alien twins lay in separate pods. Their small chests rose and fell weakly, their skin almost transparent. They didn't cry anymore. They just breathed, struggling to hold on to life. Elena had seen dying children before, but never like this, she whispered softly to herself. You're not supposed to be here, and yet, here you are. The commander of the space station entered the lab, his voice sharp. Doctor, these beings are not our problem. We're under galactic law now. We should hand them over to the Alliance. Elena turned to him, her eyes cold but calm. Alliance? No alien ship has come forward claiming them, sir, and if we wait, they'll die before anyone arrives, he sighed, rubbing his temples. You don't understand. Voss helping them might be seen as interference. A crime. She stepped closer and said firmly, then let it be a crime of mercy. Later that night, when the lab was quiet and the guards outside had fallen half asleep, Elena walked into the chamber, wearing her protective suit. The alien woman's breathing was shallow, her body trembling from exhaustion. Elena approached slowly, her voice gentle. Can you hear me? She asked, not expecting an answer. But the alien woman opened her eyes, glowing faintly blue like deep ocean water, and stared at her. She spoke softly, her voice weak and filled with pain. The words were in no human language, but Elena could feel the meaning. The mother was asking about her children. Elena pressed her gloved hand against the glass, pointing to the other room. They're alive, she said softly. Your babies are alive. The alien woman's lips curved slightly, a faint smile mixed with tears. Then she fell back into sleep, her body still fighting to stay alive. Over the next few days, chaos spread across the base. Messages from the United Earth Council poured in. Orders to contain or return the aliens to deep space. News channels leaked whispers of the first real contact. The world was watching and fear began to rise. But inside that small lab, Elena and her small team ignored the noise. They had one goal, to keep the mother and her twins breathing. The problem was oxygen. The twins' lungs couldn't handle Earth's air, and their alien life support pod was beyond repair. Human machines couldn't copy the strange liquid they once breathed. Elena spent sleepless nights studying their biology, drawing patterns on glass walls, searching for answers. Her team begged her to rest, but she refused. She remembered her own daughter, born weak, who didn't survive because no one had invented what she needed in time. I won't lose them too, she whispered. Not again. One morning, as sunlight poured into the lab through the station's upper dome, a sudden alarm went off. The twins' heartbeats dropped rapidly. One of the monitors flashing red, Elena rushed in, her hands shaking. Give me more plasma, more heat, now, she shouted. Her assistant panicked. It's not working, their blood's reacting to our oxygen, it's killing them. Elena looked around wildly. Then her eyes fell on a strange piece of alien metal taken from the wreck. It pulsed with faint blue light, the same glow as the mother's lungs. Without hesitation, she connected it to the infant's support line. The lights flickered, the alarm slowed, and the tiny chest began to rise again. A weak cry filled the room. Everyone froze, staring at the monitor. They're stabilizing, Elena whispered in disbelief. It's working. That day, a rumor spread through the base that the alien babies had survived. Some called it a miracle, others called it madness, but for Elena, it was only the beginning. She looked at the twins, floating in their new hybrid chamber of alien metal and human tech, and she felt something deep inside her shift, a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was not an accident. Maybe fate had brought them together. Outside the base, black ships appeared in orbit. Silent and watching, the world didn't know yet. But something in the dark had noticed what humanity had done, and far away beyond the stars, ancient laws began to tremble. Inside the lab, Elena stood beside the mother's bed as the alien woman's eyes fluttered open again. For a moment they both looked at each other, two mothers from different worlds. No words were needed, no language required. Elena smiled gently and said, "You shouldn't be alive, but maybe that's exactly why you are." The alien mother blinked slowly, a faint light glowing in her pupils, and for the first time since the wreck, she whispered one word, soft, broken, but clear enough to understand: human. The sound echoed through the silent room, and in that moment, humanity crossed a line it could never return from. Not a line of war or greed, but of compassion, because an alien who shouldn't have lived had spoken her first human word, and the universe would never forget it. The sun rose over the floating space base, painting its metal walls in pale gold. Inside the medical lab, silence hung heavy except for the steady hum of machines. Dr. Elena Voss hadn't slept in 3 days, her eyes red but burning with determination. She stood beside the two alien infants, their small bodies floating in glowing blue liquid. Their chests rose and fell weakly, too weak. The machines keeping them alive were failing. One of her assistants spoke softly. "Doctor, we can't keep them stable for much longer." Elena didn't answer. She only stared at the medical scans flickering on the screen. She whispered to herself, "Their lungs are collapsing again." Human air was poison to them. But they couldn't survive in their own atmosphere either. Not after the crash. It was a paradox that no known science could solve. She remembered her last conversation with the commander. "Voss, you're wasting time and resources," he had said coldly. "These are not our kind, and the council is already angry." Elena had looked him straight in the eyes and replied, "Then let them be angry. If saving life is wrong, maybe we should all be guilty." Now, as she watched the infants twitch in pain, something inside her broke. She knew she couldn't save them with ordinary tools. She had to create something new, something that had never existed before. She took out a small holographic pad and began to sketch designs. Artificial lungs, not human. Not alien, but something in between. The idea was insane. Her team thought she had lost her mind. "Doctor, even if we could build them, they'd reject the implants," said her assistant. Elena shook her head. "Not if I use their own ship's material." She pointed to the wreck fragments stored in the lab. "Their metal breathes. It reacts to oxygen like it's alive. It could mimic their lung tissue if we understand its rhythm." Days turned into nights as Elena and her small team worked. She mixed alien biogel with nanofibers. Every attempt failed, every test collapsed. But she didn't stop. Each failure reminded her of the child she once couldn't save, her daughter, Clara. She had promised herself she would never watch another life fade helplessly again. One night, while the others rested, Elena sat alone at her desk staring at the model. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Maybe I'm chasing ghosts." Just then, the door opened quietly. It was the alien mother, weak but awake. Guards tried to stop her, but she raised her hand, glowing faintly. They froze in place, unable to move. Elena gasped as the alien woman stepped into the lab. Her body was fragile, her movements slow, yet her eyes were full of fire. The woman touched the pod where her children floated. The blue light around them brightened instantly. The monitors spiked, heartbeats rising. Oxygen levels steadying. Elena stared in disbelief. You're stabilizing them." The alien woman looked at her and then touched her own chest. She placed her hand over Elena's heart and whispered something. A faint hologram appeared. An image of lungs made of light and motion. Not organs of flesh, but patterns of energy flowing like air. Elena's eyes widened, understanding at last. "She's showing me how to build it." For the next few hours, they worked together. Two mothers from different worlds. The alien woman used her energy to help Elena understand the design. The shape wasn't mechanical. It was alive, a network of light and fibers that pulsed with rhythm. Elena translated it into human technology, using nanites and adaptive gel. It was the first creation ever made by two species working as one. But before they could implant it, alarms blared across the base. A military officer stormed in, shouting, "Dr. Voss, you are ordered to cease all unauthorized experiments." Guards entered the lab, weapons ready. Elena stepped between them and the infants, her hands raised. "You can't stop this," she said, voice shaking. "They're dying." The officer pointed a gun at her. "You're risking all of humanity." And then, a soft cry filled the air. Everyone froze. One of the twins had stopped breathing without thinking. Elena grabbed the prototype and ran to the pod. She opened the chamber, alarms screaming around her. The officer shouted, "Stand down!" But she ignored him. Her hands moved with trembling speed as she connected the artificial lungs. The machine sparked once, then went dark. Silence. The alien mother pressed her glowing hand over her baby's chest. The new lungs pulsed faintly. Once, twice, 3 times. Then the infant's chest rose, a small cry escaping its lips. The monitors turned green. It worked. Everyone stood frozen. Elena fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She whispered, "It worked." It actually worked. Even the officer lowered his weapon, eyes wide with shock. The alien mother reached out and touched Elena's hand gently. Their eyes met. No words needed. Only gratitude and understanding. The next day, the news spread through the secret channels. Humanity had done the impossible. They had built a living organ, not for themselves, but for a being from another world. Some called it a miracle, others called it madness. But to Elena, it was hope. Far above Earth, hidden among the stars, a group of alien ships began to move. They had detected the strange energy signal, half human, half alien, and somewhere deep in the galaxy, an ancient law awakened. No one was allowed to interfere with the destiny of another species, and humanity had just broken that law. Inside the lab, Elena watched the twins sleeping peacefully, the alien mother beside them. Finally resting, Elena whispered softly, "If love is a crime, then we are all guilty." She smiled faintly, unaware that beyond the sky, the universe was already watching, and humanity's greatest act of kindness had just become its greatest danger. The night sky over Earth looked peaceful, filled with stars, but hidden among those stars, something vast was moving. Dozens of silver shapes glided through the darkness. Silent, cold and enormous, their lights shimmered like angry eyes. The universe had noticed what humanity had done. Inside the orbital base, alarms blared. "Unidentified fleets approaching from deep space," shouted the officer. Dr. Elena Voss looked up from her desk. Her heart skipping a beat, she rushed to the window, her hands trembling as she saw them. Ships the size of cities. They didn't move like human vessels. They floated like living creatures, pulsing with light. The commander entered the lab, pale and sweating. "They're broadcasting a message," he said. "And it's not friendly." A voice echoed through the base, deep, metallic yet filled with strange emotion. "This is the Galactic Dominion. Guardians of the interference law," it said. "Humans, you have violated the sacred code by saving those who were meant to die." The room fell silent. Elena froze, her mind spinning. "The sacred code?" She whispered. "What does that even mean?" The commander's voice was low. "It means they believe we interfered with their destiny." Moments later, a blinding light filled the main chamber. A holographic figure appeared, and tall, silver-skinned and wearing an armor of stars. Its eyes glowed like molten fire as it spoke. "The woman and her offspring belong to our people," it said coldly. "You have altered their fate, and for this, your world must answer." Elena stepped forward, fear burning inside her chest. "You would punish us for saving lives?" she asked. The figure turned its gaze toward her. "You played with the thread of destiny, human. Our law forbids interference in another species' natural course. By keeping her alive, you have broken balance." She was dying. Elena shouted, "Her children were dying." "We didn't do it for power. We did it because it was right." The alien counselor's eyes softened for a second, but his tone stayed sharp. "Right and wrong are words of emotion, not of law," he said. "Return the alien woman and her twins to us, or Earth will face the judgment of the stars." The commander turned to Elena, whispering, "We can't fight them if we resist. They'll destroy us." But Elena shook her head. "If we hand her over, she'll die, you know that." Before anyone could answer, a new voice spoke, soft but clear. It came from behind them. The alien woman stood in the doorway, still weak but standing tall. Her twins floated beside her in their pod. Breathing softly, "I will not go," she said, her voice echoing through the room. Everyone froze, even the hologram. Her glowing blue eyes locked onto the projection of the galactic envoy. "You left me to die," she said slowly. "You called it law, I call it cruelty." Her voice trembled with rage but also pain. "These humans saved my children when my own people abandoned me." The hologram flickered, reacting to her words. "Your survival endangers our order," it replied. "Your life was chosen to end." The alien mother stepped forward. "Then your order is built on death," she said, "and I will not obey it." Her energy flared, and for a moment, the lights of the base flickered. Elena ran to her side. "Please, you're too weak." But the alien woman smiled faintly. "Not weak," she whispered. "Not anymore." The galactic ships outside began to circle the Earth. Their presence caused global panic. Cities went dark, governments fell silent. Humanity stood on the edge of its first interstellar war. Inside the base, chaos spread. Some soldiers wanted to surrender the aliens. Others wanted to defend them. But Elena stood firm, holding the alien woman's hand. "If saving life is wrong," she said softly, "then humanity chooses to be wrong." Suddenly, the holographic envoy raised his hand. "So be it," he said. "Your defiance will bring consequences." Before he could finish, the alien mother spoke again, her voice calm and strong. "You call yourselves guardians, yet you do not understand mercy." She closed her eyes and lifted both her hands. Blue energy rippled through the room. The hologram shattered like glass. And for a brief moment every ship in orbit froze, their systems flickering. Elena gasped as the mother fell to her knees. Blood, or something like it, glowed faintly on her skin. She had used her life force to buy them time. Elena held her tightly, tears falling onto her hands. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. The alien mother smiled weakly. "Now they will listen. They will have to." Moments later, a new light filled the room. Dozens of smaller holograms appeared, faces of other alien races. The Galactic Council had gathered. One voice spoke, deep and ancient. "The law of non-interference has been challenged. The humans have saved one of our own. They will stand trial before the stars." Elena looked up, heart pounding. "Then we'll stand," she said. "We'll speak for what we did." The council's lights dimmed, the transmission ending. The commander turned to Elena, his face pale. "You realize what you've just done?" he whispered. She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "We've just invited the entire galaxy to judge humanity." Outside the window, the alien ships began to move again. But this time they didn't attack, they simply hovered, waiting. The fate of Earth was no longer just about war or peace. It was about something deeper, whether compassion itself could exist in a universe ruled by law. And as the stars watched silently, humanity prepared to face the greatest trial in its history, not to defend its power, but to defend its heart. Because one woman had refused to let an alien die, and that act of mercy had shaken the foundations of the entire galaxy. The stars above Earth no longer looked peaceful. They looked like eyes, watching, judging, waiting. For the first time in history, humanity wasn't alone, and for the first time, it had to answer for its kindness. In the great orbiting arena built by the Galactic Council, hundreds of alien species gathered. The chamber floated above a dying red star. Surrounded by glowing rings of light, it wasn't just a courtroom. It was a place where entire worlds were judged. Humanity's delegation stood at the center. Small and fragile among giants, Dr. Elena Voss stood in front, her white coat still marked with stains from the lab. Beside her, the alien mother stood weak but proud. Her twins asleep in her arms, a voice thundered from above. "Begin the trial." The galactic envoy, the same one who had threatened Earth, appeared again. He spoke with calm authority, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Humans," he said, "you broke the first law of the stars. You interfered with a dying species and altered fate itself." Whispers filled the hall, alien voices murmuring in hundreds of languages. Elena took a deep breath, her hands shaking slightly. She stepped forward, her voice steady but full of emotion. "Yes, we did," she said. "We interfered because we saw life, and we couldn't let it die." The envoy's eyes narrowed. "Your emotions make you reckless. Do you think compassion is stronger than order?" Elena met his gaze. "Without compassion, order means nothing. A low murmur spread through the council. Some nodded. Others hissed in disapproval. Another council member, tall and insect-like, clicked its claws. Humanity is dangerous, it said. They act before thinking. They could destroy balance across galaxies with their emotion. Elena turned toward it, her voice calm. Maybe we do act on emotion, she said. But isn't that what makes us alive? The alien mother stepped forward then, her energy flickering weakly. Her voice was soft but carried across the hall. These humans saved me when my own kind left me to die, she said. They asked for nothing in return, not even safety. The council chamber fell silent. Her eyes glowed blue as she lifted one of her twins slightly. This child breathes because a human gave her air. You speak of law, but what law protects love? The words hit the council like thunder. Even the envoy hesitated for a moment. He turned to the audience. You see what they've done? They twist morality into defiance. Their kindness will bring chaos. Elena stepped closer, her voice trembling. Then maybe your order needs to be broken, she said. You call it chaos, we call it humanity. Gasps rippled across the chamber. The envoy's eyes flashed. You speak boldly for a species barely out of its cradle. Elena looked at him firmly. And yet we saved one of yours when you would not. The chamber fell silent again in the shadows of the council seats. A new voice spoke, deep and old. The human is correct, it said. An ancient being emerged, shaped of light and mist. I have seen countless species rise and fall. The law was made to prevent greed and not mercy. The envoy turned sharply. Elder Prime, you would side with them? The elder's eyes glowed brighter. I side with truth. They broke no law of malice, only of love. A long silence followed. Elena looked around and, for the first time, she saw sympathy in some alien eyes. Others looked away, unsure, afraid. The council's decision was to be made by vote. One by one, voices echoed. Some for punishment, some for mercy. The count was close. Too close. Then, from the lower seats, a small alien child stood. It belonged to a different species, frail, almost transparent. It pointed toward Elena and the alien mother and said in a trembling voice, My people were saved by humans once. They gave us food when our planet burned. The chamber grew quiet. One by one, more voices rose, sharing stories. Humans helping lost travelers, rescuing ships, giving aid to strangers across the galaxy. Humanity had already left traces of kindness, and now those memories came to their defense. The envoy shouted, Enough! You let your hearts cloud your judgment. But the Elder Prime raised his hand, silencing him. It is time, the Elder said. Let the stars decide. A beam of light shot through the chamber. A cosmic scale appeared above them. On one side floated the symbol of law, cold and rigid. On the other, a single glowing heart, pulsing like light itself. The scale wavered, trembling between order and compassion. Then slowly the heart began to glow brighter. The scale tilted, the chamber erupted in light. The elder spoke, voice calm and powerful. The council declares, Earth shall not be destroyed. A wave of relief spread through the humans. But, the elder continued, they will be watched. For humanity has proven both dangerous and pure. The envoy lowered his head in silent anger. The alien mother smiled weakly, tears glowing in her eyes. Elena exhaled slowly. Her body trembling with exhaustion, she whispered, We did it. They listened. As the trial ended, the council's light dimmed. The alien mother turned to Elena. You spoke for us. When no one else did, she said softly. Elena smiled faintly. And you spoke for us. They looked out at the stars. The same stars that had once separated them. Now they felt closer, but deep in the void. The envoy's ship broke formation and disappeared. His voice echoed faintly through the dark. This is not the end, humans, he whispered. The law has been bent, but it will never break forever. Elena didn't hear him. She was already looking toward the horizon, toward a future where humans and aliens might live side by side. The trial was over, but the story of humanity had just begun. The stars burned brighter that night, as if the universe itself had taken a breath. The galactic trial was over, yet the air around humanity still trembled with uncertainty. The verdict had saved Earth, but not without a shadow. The council's words echoed across the cosmos. They will be watched, a warning, and perhaps a promise back on Earth's orbiting base. Dr. Elena Voss stood by the observation window. Below her, the planet glowed. Blue, fragile, beautiful. It looked peaceful, but she knew peace was never simple. Behind her, the alien mother sat quietly, her twins asleep beside her. They were safe for now, breathing through the living lungs that humans had built. But their safety had come at a price. The door opened and Commander Hale entered. His face was pale, his uniform dusty from sleepless days. "They've sent us a message," he said, placing a hologram on the table. Elena turned, wary. "From the Council?" He nodded. "Yes, but not all of them agree with the ruling." The hologram flickered to life. The galactic envoy appeared, his tone sharp as steel. "Humans," he said coldly. "The Council may have spared you, but the law remains. The alien woman and her offspring are to be relocated to neutral space. They cannot remain among you." Elena's heart sank. "Relocated?" she repeated softly. "That's exile." Hale muttered, his jaw tightening. The envoy's image faded, leaving silence behind. The alien mother looked up slowly, her glowing eyes calm. "So they would take me away again," she whispered. Elena stepped forward. "You don't have to go. You belong here now, with us." The alien woman smiled faintly, sadness in her voice. "If I stay, they will see your kindness as rebellion. They will strike again, not at me, but at your world." Her words hung heavy. Elena knew she was right. The galaxy was watching, and even compassion could look like defiance. Still, the thought of losing her felt unbearable. "You changed us," Elena said softly. "You showed us that we're not alone. We learned more from saving you than we ever did from war or science." The alien mother reached out, touching Elena's hand. "And you changed me," she said. "You gave me air, you gave my children life. You showed me that the heart can be stronger than any law." For a long time, neither spoke. Outside, the stars drifted quietly. Finally, the alien mother stood, her body glowing faintly with energy. She looked down at her twins, now awake and watching her silently. Her voice trembled. "I must go, Elena, if I stay. They will never leave your people in peace." Elena clenched her fists. "There must be another way." The mother smiled. "There always is, but not one that logic can see." That night, the base lights dimmed. In the hangar, the alien woman prepared her ship, rebuilt from the fragments of her wreck. It looked fragile yet alive, pulsing gently with blue light. Elena stood beside her, refusing to say goodbye. "You know," Elena whispered, "humans don't do well with farewells." The alien mother chuckled softly, her voice like wind and music. "Then don't say goodbye," she said. "Say, until we meet again." As she stepped toward her ship, alarms suddenly blared. An urgent voice came through the speakers. "Unknown vessels approaching, fast." The envoy had returned, his fleet descending in formation. Hale shouted orders, "Shields up. Get the refugees to safety." The alien mother turned sharply, her eyes blazing. "They came to stop me," she said, "to make sure I leave and or die trying." Elena grabbed her arm. "Then let's fight together." But the alien mother shook her head. "No, this isn't your battle anymore." She lifted her hand, and a wave of energy burst from her body. All systems froze, lights flickered. Time itself seemed to slow. Even the enemy ships paused, caught in a sudden field of blue light. Elena stared in awe. "What are you doing?" The alien woman's voice softened. "Something no logic can explain." Her body began to glow brighter, her shape dissolving into pure light. Her twins floated from the ground, their small forms shining like stars. Elena shouted, "Stop! You'll destroy yourself!" But the alien mother smiled through the light. "No, Elena. I'm not dying. I'm becoming." Outside, the attacking ships froze mid-flight. Their weapons turned to ash, their engines silent. The blue energy spread like a wave across the sky. Every radio, every satellite on Earth caught a single message, a calm voice, echoing in every language. Mercy is not weakness. It is the courage to defy logic, and the strength to love what you do not understand. Then, the light faded and the sky went still. The enemy ships vanished. The stars returned to quiet in the hangar. Only a faint shimmer of blue dust remained. The alien mother and her children were gone. Elena fell to her knees, her face wet with tears. Commander Hale stood beside her, whispering, What did she do?" Elena looked up, her eyes filled with wonder. "She made them see," she said softly. "Even those who believed in law over life, she showed them the truth." Days later, strange signals appeared in deep space, not threats, not commands, but songs. Transmissions from different alien worlds. Some carried messages of peace, others of curiosity, and among them, one voice repeated again and again, Humanity gave us air. Now we will give them trust. Elena stood once more at the window, watching the stars, a quiet smile on her face. The alien mother was gone, but her light was everywhere. A decision beyond logic, a legacy beyond time. Years passed, and the story of the alien woman became legend. Her name was never known, but her sacrifice was remembered by both Earth and the stars. People called her the light between worlds, the one who defied law to protect life. And though her ship had vanished into nothing, her presence was felt everywhere. Dr. Elena Voss grew older, her hair turning silver. Yet she never left the orbital base every day. She looked out at the same stretch of stars where the woman had disappeared. Sometimes, when the night was quiet, she thought she heard a faint hum in the air, like a whisper carried across galaxies. A voice saying, "I'm still here." The twins, the alien children who had once struggled to breathe, grew fast. They were taller than humans, graceful. Glowing faintly in the dark, they spoke both human language and the soft singing tone of their mother's people. To the scientists, they were living miracles, but to Elena, they were her hope made real. She raised them as her own, teaching them Earth's ways. They learned about oceans, about forests, about kindness. They laughed at simple things and rain, birds, and the taste of chocolate. And sometimes when they looked up at the stars, their eyes glowed softly as if remembering a mother made of light. By the time they turned 18, the twins were already working with human engineers together. They began building something new. The Unity Station. It was not a weapon, not a base, but a home between stars. A place where humans and aliens could meet without fear. A place born from compassion, not conquest. Reporters asked Elena what she thought of the project. She smiled gently and said, "It's the proof that kindness is not a weakness. It's how we build the future," but peace was still fragile. Many alien empires still watched Earth carefully, suspicious of its sudden influence, and deep in the shadows of the void, the old envoy still lingered. He had lost the trial, but not his belief in the law from his hidden vessel. He watched the humans grow stronger. "They defy logic with emotion," he whispered, "and that makes them dangerous." Meanwhile, at Unity Station, a new signal appeared, a faint energy pattern, identical to the one once produced by the alien mother. The twins detected it first, their hearts racing. "It's her," said the sister, voice trembling. The brother nodded. "It's coming from beyond the rim, from a place no ship can reach." Elena listened carefully to the signal, her old eyes filling with tears. It was not just sound, it was a heartbeat. The same rhythm she had once heard in that cold lab, a sign of life, of connection. She smiled, whispering, "You kept your promise." The twins decided to follow it. They wanted to know where their mother's light had gone. Elena tried to stop them, afraid she might lose them too. But they held her hands and said, "You gave us air and she gave us freedom. Now we must give something back." The launch was quiet. Without ceremony or speeches, their ship, Aurora, glowed like a second sunrise as it rose from Earth. Elena stood at the window again, just like years ago. When she had watched their mother's ship disappear, she whispered softly, "Be safe." My children, the twins traveled beyond human borders, past planets and stations, past light itself, until they reached the edge of known space. There, they saw it, a great wall of shimmering light, a rift between galaxies, and through it a shape and vast, glowing, familiar. It was not a ship nor a being, but a presence made of pure energy. A woman's voice echoed softly through their minds. "My children," it said, "you came." The twins fell silent, tears shining like stars. "Mother," they whispered, "we never forgot you." The light pulsed warmly, surrounding them. "I am part of everything now," she said. "The stars, the air, the hearts that choose love over fear." Then her tone softened. "You must return to them. Humans will need you soon." The sister asked, "For what?" The mother's light shimmered. "For what they will become," she said. "When compassion meets strength, creation begins." Her energy flowed into their ship, filling it with a light. "When you return, show them this, my final gift." The twins turned back toward Earth, and as they traveled home, their ship carried something new. A glowing core, alive, humming with energy never seen before. It could power entire worlds without harm. It was clean, endless, and pure, a gift from beyond logic. When the ship returned to Earth, scientists called it a revolution. But Elena knew better. "It's not just power," she said, "it's a message. She placed her hand on the ship's hull and whispered. She kept her promise. Years later, Unity Station became the heart of a new era. Humans and aliens worked side by side, not as rulers or rivals, but as family. Children from two worlds played together under the same artificial sun. And in the hall of the station stood a statue, a woman made of light holding two children in her arms. At the base of the statue, carved in both languages, were the words, "She gave us air, we gave her hope. Together, we gave the stars life." One night, as Elena sat quietly in her chair looking at the stars, she felt a soft breeze through the open window. It carried a faint hum, gentle, kind, familiar. She smiled and whispered, "I know, you're watching." And somewhere far away in the endless sea of galaxies, a soft light flickered once, bright, warm, alive. The universe, for the first time, felt connected, because one act of compassion had rewritten the rules of existence and humanity. The small, fragile species once ignored by the stars had proven that love could outshine even the laws of the cosmos. That was humanity's promise, and the universe would never forget it.